You are watching Influence Media, PSI TV, the Netflix of biz brands.
Take your message to TV. Are you a speaker, a thought leader, a preacher, a teacher, a coach, someone who speaks on stages, or you are out there sharing your message as a speaker? It's time to take your message to TV. Now, I will admit a lot of speaker events are either live streamed or at least recorded. And if that's not happening for you, speakers, be proactive about that. Now, you do need to check with the organization you're speaking on behalf of or speaking for as a guest. Sometimes in your contract, you do not have the rights to your own speech. I found that out the hard way. However, if you set up your contract right ahead of time, you will always have the rights to your own content, but be sure to check any contracts you have signed. You may not have access to the contract, to the content that you've actually created and presented. Be that as it may, though, it's time to take your message to TV. So we're always talking about having that competitive advantage. So if you are speaking at an event, you do want to record it, maybe stream it to TV, but you want to capture it in video form. That is going to be very important as a speaker, and we'll look into that more as we go on in this presentation today. Hi, I'm Trudy Bearman over at Influence Media PSI TV, and thank you for joining me live or later as we look at why a speaker should consider taking their content to TV. Covered in this episode today, we're always going to look at the Bible says, what research says. Then we're going to look at speak to share, your media portfolio, expanding your audience and repurposing your content, churches on TV, and get hired. And although hired is an acronym, it does mean something. Get hired and do more of your genius to those you are called to serve. Serve also being an acronym, which is part of the work that we do here at PSI TV. We work to get you hired, do more of your genius to those you're called to serve. Hired and serve being acronyms for something. Okay. The Bible says. Now, there are lots of verses that had to do with speaking. I just felt this one was the most appropriate. 1 Chronicles 16:8, give thanks to the Lord, proclaim his greatness, tell the nations what he has done. Not everybody is going to be a preacher or out there Bible thumping. I'm a Christian and I believe I live out my testimony every single day. However, this still has an application, not a theological interpretation, but an application. We should be in a grateful mindset because whatever we have and whatever we're about to share with our audience did just drop from the sky into our laps. So we usually have to or should be grateful for where we're at, what we have, what we're doing. And then you want to share what you have learned. You want to tell others. In this verse says, tell the nations. That is pivotal for speakers because the whole thing is, you don't want to just contain it to just your small little sphere of influence. You want to tell the nations. You want to go outside of your small network, your town, your city, your state, maybe even your country, and go to the nations with the message that you have. What does research say? Now, many of you may know, I'm a graduate, I'm a doctoral candidate. What that means is I've finished my classes and I'm in the research phase. So I'm a doctoral candidate at Liberty University. I'm pursuing research in influential reach in the department where I'm looking at strategic leadership, and my research interest is influential reach. So I'm constantly in the academic research. When something is peer-reviewed, guys, it's not just written by an academic from the point of view of research, but it's also scrutinized by other peers, others in their realm, whether to correct it or to contribute to it. So this is a peer-reviewed research piece. and it was on the topic of public speaking. Oral communication skills are frequently listed among the top workplace readiness skills for students graduating from college and entering the workforce. But even so, the research goes on to say that there is a gap in this proficiency. So if kids are coming out of college, you'd think that in college they would give them this skill set. You know, you're going to school and you're making you take courses that are, you know, especially in a university setting. When you go to like a technical school, then you focus in on the skill set you're there to learn. But when you go to a four-year school, they're giving you all these extra classes so you'll be a well-rounded student. And yet, oral communication, being able to give a speech, to speak in front of an audience, which is a top workplace readiness skill, is not taught. And even if it's taught, students are graduating without the proficiency. So speakers, you are already ahead of the game in that you already have a comfort in presenting your knowledge to others, especially from a stage. I can tell you, when I was growing up, as much as you people see me as seeming to be extroverted today, that was not always the case. When I was a younger child and I was getting awards, I was to go and just collect an award from the front of the room, and I freaked out. Later on in high school, I was part of the Miss St. Hugh's competition. Now, it wasn't a beauty competition. I won the landslide vote, hands down, but it wasn't just based on voting. We also had to have a stage presence where we did our talent and we gave a speech. And guys, I bombed it on the stage, bombed it embarrassingly. So, and then when I went to college, I actually took a speech class, and that was the first time that I started to have, and I was very, very nervous, but over the course of time and with the same grouping in the class, I got more comfortable. It was a smaller group. Everybody was being subject to the same experience, and it helped. But I did not leave college with any proficiency. So those of you who I'm speaking to today, you're already a speaker. You are way ahead of the game, which is why a lot of organizations will sometimes invite you in to speak to their audience, not only because it's always, sometimes people will listen and hear better when it's an external source saying the very same thing that they're saying all day long in the organization. Sometimes people receive it differently or better from an external source, but also sometimes internally, they don't have anyone with the skill set to proficiently communicate to a wide audience from a stage or a platform. So kudos to you. So as I promised, one of the things we're going to cover was speak to share. You're not just speaking to speak, you're speaking to share. So you're sharing a message with others to inspire them or maybe even to transform their lives. And many speaking engagements are often televised, and many keynote speakers have a TV appearance in their media portfolio, and it can help boost their career and certainly help them reach a broader audience. I picked up a handful of well-known names. I chose well-known names because many speakers are out there getting televised, but you may not be aware of them. But these names, you know: Tony Robbins, Simon Sinek, Brené Brown, Malcolm Gladwell, Dr. Phil, may not know McGraw, but you know Dr. Phil. All of these speakers have had a television experience. They have appeared on various TV programs or news outlets, and this helps them to get widespread recognition. Some of them have transferred that speaking skill to an actual television presence on a more full-time basis. For example, Dr. Phil has a successful television career. So as a speaker, you are very familiar with the need to have a media portfolio. This is something you'll update all the time. If you're new to the speaking circuit, you need to have a media portfolio. And a media portfolio is going to have a combination of things. It's definitely going to have your one sheet. And if you don't know what that is, probably you should consider joining my media challenge. I can tell you more about that at the end. Your media portfolio will also have a video speaker reel. Now, in your video speaker reel, first of all, you have to have video. You have to have video of you speaking. And very often that video speaker reel is going to capture various environments that you've spoken at. So maybe, you're going to have different scenes in there. And if you're on television, that should definitely be one of them. Now, if you're new to the speaking circuit, again, what you'll find is that before someone will invite you to be on their stage, on their platform, to present to their audience, they want to have an idea of how you show up. This is where video is so important. They want to see video of how you perform. That way they can see how you move on the stage, how you interact. Are you boring? Are you loud? Do you have props? All these kinds of things. So you definitely need to have video in there. And if you have video, you can repurpose that into television content, which we'll get into some more. So if you don't have the one sheet or the video speaker reel, and you're expecting to get on the circuit, whether on a podcast tour or you're hoping to present, in a webinar, a summit, on someone's stage, on a podcast or whatever, you definitely need to have these things, definitely at the minimum, your one sheet. And we do go over that in our media challenge. Now, we don't have the media challenge all the time, but we do have it from time to time throughout the year. So if you see my media challenge link, which will be in the description, then simply, if you don't see a date, still sign up, because you will be on a wait list. And whenever we're doing the next media challenge, you will be contacted to let you know we're doing it, okay? The other thing about speaking for TV, television helps you to expand your audience and to repurpose your content. So if you're presenting at an event and they're live streaming, for example, the people that are immediately in the audience are enjoying that presentation, but because they've live streamed it, even if it's just a social media, that expands the audience base of the people who are able to participate. Some people will even monetize these different experiences at different levels. So if you're in the audience, it's one price. If you're on a Zoom in the live, or if you're on a live stream in the live experience where you can still participate by voting or commenting or whatever, then that's another price point. But if you watch it later as a replay, so there's different ways, guys, to repurpose the content while expanding your audience. But video is going to be crucial for that. And a lot of times when I talk about TV at the very core is a video platform. It's video based. So a lot of things that I say, even though I say TV, guys, it will work for any video format, or for Vimeo, or for YouTube, or if you put video on your website or your membership site. So you are able to repurpose that content. There is an artificial intelligence site called repurpose.io. Go check it out. So if you have a video, you can go to repurpose.io. I think there's a little fee. I'm not an affiliate for that. But if you go to repurpose.io and drop in your video, it can take that video content and change a format for YouTube, for TikTok, for IG, and all those various platforms. So repurpose.io is another way to take your speech at your event and repurpose it for different platforms, which will allow you to not only repurpose the content, but expand your audience. Your speech that you have spoken, you can also take that content, repurpose it as a blog, or use it in a podcast. Guys, speakers should be looking to repurpose their content. I don't know about you, but anytime I have to say something more than once, I tend to put it in video form, so that the next time someone asks me that question, I send them the video. Because it's not about being lazy. It's just about, I've already done it, and then that helps with getting additional views and that kind of a thing. So, and it saves my time, because time is the most precious thing. So I don't need to repeat myself. I put it in a video and it gets repurposed that way. A lot of churches are on TV, or they should be. Some of them only came online during COVID. I can tell you for sure that my brother's church, my brother's a pastor of a local church, and they did not have an online presence until COVID. So sometimes that is the reason why church suddenly has an online presence. They were just quietly serving their local community, and then COVID interrupted all of that and forced them to continue to serve their community by being in video form. Some churches have gone on to live stream to television. Why would they do that? There are lots of shut-ins, guys. There are lots of shut-ins. The older folks, the sick folks, the physically challenged folks, whatever. They're people, or people who are caretakers and they can't leave. So there are lots of people. Now, you can watch on YouTube, yes. The difference between YouTube and TV, and I talk about it all the time. Now, look at this Roku lineup, okay? These are some churches that are on the Roku platform that you can download to your television channel. Look at this versus going to YouTube. When you go to YouTube, it's like so overwhelming, just stuff coming at you. And even when you're trying to watch a content, there's still stuff going on around it. This is the biggest difference with television, guys. So if you are creating video, yes, YouTube, you should be there. But the purpose of platforms like social media, YouTube, Facebook, all that, is to keep you on the platform. They don't really care what the consumer is viewing. They just want to keep them on their platform. When you go to television, it is less overwhelming. And then if you do click on one of these, channel buttons, like a Netflix button, all that you see is that content, not other content vying for your attention and drawing you away into a dark rabbit hole. So churches are now on television. If your church wants to have a television channel, PSI TV can build that channel app for you. And that channel app can be on Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV. There's Vita TV, not as popular in the United States, but they do stream out to many countries of the world. So shut-ins are or if you can't get to your service one particular Sunday, again, yes, you can watch on YouTube, but TV is just another way with a bigger screen and all of that. So consider that as well. Now, get hired and do more of your genius to those you're called to serve. Now, that is ultimately why we do what we do. And when we get hired, it's without the acronym, it means someone has contracted us, we've closed on that deal. They have selected us to serve them. So when you're on television, television does help. And I've done many shows on this. I won't go into the details on the thing, but guys, the more of the digital presence that you have, the more places you show up, you never know where you are going to find your ideal audience. And you don't need sometimes a really big following to attract your ideal audience. It has a lot to do with how you structure the content. For example, today I said speakers. So while someone who's not a speaker may be watching this, chances are speakers are going to be more in tune to this content just based on how I have packaged it. So you want to get hired, and hired for PSI TV is we help with your influence, your reach, we elevate your content and we distribute it, right? That's what hired means for us. And then do more of your genius to those you're called to serve. And with serve, that means you get support. So you get the responses that you need, that you offer the resources that you need. So that's, you're called to serve. So you're serving your audience. You're giving them support. You're giving them the resources that they need. You're empowering them. So you're encouraging more self-confidence for them to feel empowered to do what you're teaching them. You create content around relevance. You just give them that you address their unique concerns. You give value-laden content, not junk, guys. You don't waste people's time. You put value out there. And then engagement. You create opportunities for those who listen to you to participate. So one of the things so that's serve, support, empower, relevance, value, engagement, hired, help, influence, reach, elevated, distribution. So at the end of the day, guys, I do respond to all my comments. I do respond to the comments. When you like, I appreciate, but if you don't comment, I don't know who you are, can't respond. So if you comment on my post, I respond. I really do. And not a robot, not an assistant, at least not this time. I personally, because I want to see what my audience is saying or asking or commenting. So I do respond. So please, if you're watching this live or later, do that. Now, I don't know how you would feel about being on television, but I saw this video clip I'm going to share with you. So it's on YouTube. And this young lady was being featured on television. Now, she is young. She's in a younger generation than the average person that is my client. So a lot of younger people say, I don't watch TV, but really they're watching screens. They're watching screens, and TV is just another screen. And I guarantee you they will watch TV. They grew up on television. And a lot of times, if it's a Super Bowl game, if it's the Olympics, if it's a presidential speech or something, they're still going to gather around television. So here's a young adult, for whatever reason, she's being featured on TV, and look at her reaction. I don't know how you would react to telling someone you're on television, but this is her reaction, and she shared her experience of being on TV with the world. Let's watch this. At the end of the day, guys, the goal of what I do here when I reach out to you and I share this content is to help you build your influential reach so that you are the ones that others want to hear from. You get the guest spots on stages, podcasts, and more. Yours is the first name that comes to mind for that thing. You're the obvious choice from the pack, and you get recognized by people who you do not know, and you being considered a celebrity and paid as one. So I hope this was of value to you today. So that's content for today, guys. Speakers, you really should take your message to TV. Thank you so much for being with me today. If this was of value, please like, comment, share. And subscribe. If it's not of value, then don't worry about it. But if you do comment, I promise I will respond. Oh, I was going to tell you about the media challenge. Remember, there will be a link for it if you need to build out all the components of what it would help to get you on these stages, on podcasts and so forth. We do a media challenge from time to time. Even if there is no immediate date coming up, still sign up, and then you'll be notified when the next one is. Trudy Bearman here,